Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, a huge budget shortfall awaits incoming Governor Andy Beshear. Election officials say Twitter wouldn't try to quell Kentucky's voting fraud rumors. And UK basketball will head to London, England in 2020. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey Kentucky. Chip Cosby is my co-host tonight. We've got some cool news with the basketball team. We're looking forward to a bowl with the football team, but we still can't get rid of talking about Matt Bevin.
Oh my goodness. Let's go ahead and get this over with.
All right, the man in charge of the budget under the Bevin administration has a troubling message for incoming Governor Andy Beshear. Budget Director John Chilton sent a memo to state lawmakers this week predicting a shortfall of roughly $1.2 billion over the next 2.5 years. Revenue is projected to climb by $647 million over that time, but the memo says expenses will far outpace it. The estimates do not include investments championed by Beshear, such as pay raises for teachers or increases in education funding. The Democratic governor-elect faces a tight deadline for drafting his proposed 2-year budget for presentation to the Republican-controlled General Assembly in late January. One Democrat says the budget news should serve as a wake-up call for things like expanded gaming and tax modernization. Now, Chip, I do find this interesting that it doesn't happen overnight, right? And it's not just one thing, but a lot of the budget or the tax cuts for the wealthiest citizens that Bevin brought in are part of the reason for this shortfall.
Well, that's my thing. You're speaking on something, a budget shortfall that happened under your watch. And he's starting to remind me of Rick Pitino when all that broke out and he was gone, and Rick would just could not be quiet. People have moved on. They're already looking forward to the next regime. Matt Bevin just needs to sit down, shut up, and go sit in the corner somewhere. People have moved on.
Yeah, it's done. Staying with politics, though, Bevin participated in a string of interviews on conservative talk radio yesterday, much like Rick Pitino was doing interviews all the time.
It's the exact same thing.
He was back on the airwaves at stations around the region, touching on topics ranging from abortion to the pension crisis. He also said he didn't know if he wanted to be in the governor's mansion another 4 years.
When I ran 4 years ago, I said, listen, I don't want to be governor. I'm willing to be governor. And I was willing to do that again. It's not fun in the world of politics if you're a private sector guy like me.
Wow, lots of sacrifices he's making. All right, talking about the loss to Andy Beshear, Bevin says, quote, liberals are increasingly good at harvesting votes in urban areas, seeming to again touch on allegations of fraud. He also said one of Beshear's appointees had to pay to get the job without offering any proof, but Bevin did say he wants Beshear to succeed. Chip, the harvesting votes, and I don't know if he meant fraud or if he just means those are the people that voted for Democrats and not me, so they don't count as much.
I'm going to rinse and repeat just from the previous section. Matt Bevin, just shut up, sit down, and go sit in a corner somewhere. Nobody cares. We're moving on.
Okay.
Rinse, repeat.
So we're going to have to rinse and repeat one more time because after the election, we talked about the spreading of bogus messages concerning election fraud. Now we've learned that Twitter rejected a request from Kentucky officials to remove tweets that repeated the election night claim by just one user that he shredded a box of Republican mail-in ballots. While Twitter did suspend that user's account permanently, the tech giant did not take action on tweets that shared screenshots of the original tweet. One election official contacted Twitter and said, quote, what you're telling us is that anyone can create an account, tweet something inflammatory, knowing their account will likely be suspended, and then disseminate the inflammatory tweet as a screenshot on another active account, or just sit back and watch people unknowingly disseminate the inflammatory tweet. Yeah, that's what you can do. Twitter responded with this statement. As a uniquely open service, Twitter enables the clarification of falsehoods in real time. We proactively enforce policies and use technology to halt the spread of content that is shared through manipulative tactics. Chip, yes, you can do that. I mean, that's what social media is.
Yeah, and I don't like the spreading of conspiracy theories, but that's what Twitter is. I mean, how much BS do you see? I mean, that's what people do on Twitter. I mean, you do have credible journalists breaking stories, but you also have people just throwing stuff out there. I mean, with no regard for whether it's accurate or not. And Twitter doesn't eliminate that, so I could see where they look at that situation. Well, if we don't do it on sports rumors or any other rumors, why will we selectively pick out this?
And sometimes people just have to use their brain. This is one dude who had like 3 followers and said, "Oh, I just shredded this," but like, so if you're going to choose to believe that,
yeah, I'll look at that stuff and just shake my head. I mean, like I do a lot of stuff on Twitter.
Okay. Turning now to Kentucky basketball, the UK in UK. We're going to hear that for a long time now. The Cats will head to London next year. And we're not talking about Laurel County. UK and Michigan will play a game in England's capital city next season as part of a new series. Now, the game is scheduled for December 2020 at the O2 Arena, which has been used by the NBA for games abroad in the past few years. And then after that game, the series will be a home and home, with the 2021 game taking place in Ann Arbor and the 2022 game taking place at Rupp Arena. Chip, I love this because I think it's Cal, once again, getting out and pushing his program in the forefront of things, right? But it's also great because people haven't gotten a whole ton of good home games, and fans are kind of complaining about that. So now we get Michigan here.
Yeah, you get Michigan, yeah, and you get, this is something that's probably been in the works. I mean, basketball has expanded globally, and UK will be participating in the first college game that I know of, abroad. And then, if you're going to do it up big. I mean, get the royal family out, get Adele to sing the national anthem. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this, but I think that, this will be the start of what I think you'll see a trend in college basketball with going overseas. And
sure, the NFL's been doing it, the NBA's been doing it.
And college basketball needs it, really. I mean, they need that kind of shot in the arm that this could bring right now.
Cal said it was about him getting in touch with Juwan Howard, because Juwan Howard helped Bam Adebayo so much in Miami that he wanted to repay him with a favor.
And what a great job. Even though they got busted by Louisville the other night, he's doing a great job in Michigan.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk football. We know the 2019 season ended up being very challenging for the Cats, but how does it compare to last year's team statistically? The numbers may surprise you. Injuries forced UK to have an unbalanced offense this year, but the team actually increased its average yards per game from 360 to 391. Despite losing Benny Snell, the offense moved from 40th in rushing to 5th, and the Cats maintained the level of scoring while adding explosive rushing plays, largely, obviously, thanks to Lynn Bowden. On the defensive side of the ball, Kentucky fell from 6th to 13th in points allowed, but that difference was 1.6 points per game. And this year's pass defense jumped from 17th to 4th in the country, despite all new faces in the secondary. The defense also clamped down on big plays between 2018 and 2019. Chip, that's probably the most, that's what stands out the most to me, because we lose Josh Allen, who's maybe the best defensive player to ever play at Kentucky, and you still have a defense, and we lost our secondary.
Right. It's really, if you really look at it, I think Stoops has done a better job this year. I think I've been more impressed with the job he's done this year than what they did last year, because, you lose all those guys on defense. You lose your quarterback also. And I was wrong. I sat here a few weeks ago before the UT Martin game and said there's no way you can run a base offense where you can't throw the ball. But yet and still they found a way to do it and look good and pile up a bunch of yards doing it. So kudos to Coach Stoops, Coach Grand, the staff. It's been an outstanding job to get to 7 wins. The defense not really have much of a drop-off. I think that's something that you can really sell moving forward. Like, we lost all these pros, but we didn't fall off the map. And a lot of people thought they would. I thought they might even a few weeks ago, but they managed to salvage the season when they're doing when everybody knows what they're going to do. Everybody knows, and they still can't stop it. So that's a credit to coaching, execution. I think he deserves a lot of credit.
And to Lynn as well.
Yeah. Outstanding effort by Lynn, no doubt.
To our weekly feature on Hey Kentucky, What's the Beef? Brought to you by the Kentucky Beef Council. We've got 2 follow-ups here, beginning with the legal challenge to the state's speeding laws. The Jefferson County Attorney's Office is asking the Kentucky Supreme Court to step in and rule them constitutional after a local judge called the laws vague while dismissing a speeding ticket. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes has won the latest round in her legal battle over a seizure of a computer from her office by an independent counsel looking into allegations of misconduct. The State Court of Appeals denied a petition from that attorney yesterday. And that's tonight's edition of What's the Beef, brought to you by the Kentucky Beef Council. Up next on Hey Kentucky, the UK volleyball team is preparing for another appearance in the NCAA tournament. We'll catch up with them as they prepare for tomorrow night's opening round right after the break.